How you been?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, had a good first time I actually finished the season GM. I always choke it, but last season I did it, which is big. I feeling very confident right now.
Good, good,
In my yeah, I
good.
feel like I've really kind of honed in on kind of knowing what play style to choose. I guess
Right,
game to game on Sojourn.
right, right.
Um, so I definitely don't think I'm executing it perfectly. But uh, I feel like I'm every game I'm having a good sense of like what would I need to do.
Right,
Uh,
right. Well, good. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like it's always tricky whenever you put it in these circumstances where you're like having to like not relearn the game, but like when your
right.
character
Yeah.
goes through like some serious changes. It's like trying to like, all right, well, it's honestly even worse because it's like I feel like you have to break as many habits as you've built. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
It's ugly. It's ugly. Okay.
I've
Well,
been learning Echo as well, and it's been like way easier for me to kind of. I've basically had the exact same goal. I'm just like choosing what my play style kind of needs to be in my game, and it was way easier for me to do on Echo because I don't have as much experience with Sojourn. It felt a lot of it was very ingrained and
yeah, yeah, and it's kind of funny because like it's like you don't have the bad habits of Sojourn, but you have the benefits of Sojourn because like the thing we were talking about, like the reactive versus proactive, like angling kind of thing. Like I
right.
said, it's Echo does the same thing, right? Like either hard poking or like hard diving. Like there's a lot of times where you're using that exact same playstyle. So there's like no bad habits to carry over, but there is like knowledge that you've learned from Sojourn that carries over.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what are we looking at today?
Um. So I have an Echo one, and I also have another Sojourn one. Sojourn one is on. I don't know if he's a first New Junk City review, but we
Vic.
got something there. Very
Vic.
chaotic game, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's Flashpoint. Yeah, it's a strange mode. Okay, so do you have any questions with mentality or training schedule or training structure? You know the routine, so this is our
Yeah, yeah. It's very hard for me to figure out when it's actually when something is a habit. Like I noticed you mentioned me a while ago about have some games where it's just like, oh, I'm just trying to win. I don't really have anything to work on.
right.
I I struggle with doing that. I notice I tilt a lot. Like I get mad at my teammates and stuff like that when I don't have anything to focus on.
Yeah,
I also like kind of like if I'm working on choosing my play style, and it's like, all right, I go in and I tell myself, okay, you just need to not focus on that. Try and win. It's like I still just out of kind of habit overemphasize on that. So I don't really know if it's a habit or not, or if it's just um, I'm getting a sense that I'm overcomplicating it a lot. But
yeah. Sometimes that's why I've like recommended that kind of like mentality more than any other reason. Is it's like when you're focusing on a lot of details that you're trying to improve on, sometimes it's good to like give it some space to just practice. So we talked about how giving yourself a couple of days to focus on winning. Maybe that's not even the way to look at it for you. Maybe it's just saying that like I'm hard practicing, hard grinding at a specific skill, and then I give a day or so, or I'm just playing. I'm not playing to win. I'm just playing for fun, honestly. At that point, you kind of see what I'm saying. Kind of give yourself a chance to evaluate where you're really at when you're not specifically practicing. But I wouldn't necessarily say that it has to be like a mindset of playing to win, especially if that's kind of a problem with you.
okay,
Does that
I'll
make
try.
any sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously easier said than done, but like the way I looked at it is like I was like picking up flag football blitzing, like rushing the quarterback kind of a skill.
Right.
And it's like especially at the level I was playing at, it was like really really difficult. There's like a ton of details, and the people I was playing with were like pretty bad coaches to be honest, even though they were a lot more experienced than I were. They just would give me like 12 different things, like no, do this, do this, do this, do practice this, do this, and I'm like way overwhelmed. And so basically, there was like over a course of several months, I like tried to like streamline things and give myself goals to do this, and it felt like every tournament or game I was playing, I had this like 7 different things I was trying to think about, right? And I was getting better because I kind of knew how to like prioritize and such. But at some point I was like, I just need to just blitz now. Like I need to give myself at least a chance to just like actually like see how I'm doing it, just applying this without trying to overthink all these details and just go, And I think sometimes that's like a good thing because like it gets, if you enjoy the learning process, it can be a lot of fun, but even then it can still be a little bit of distraction where like there's so many things that you're thinking about at any given moment. You just want to just play sometimes. Just play. Whether it's for fun or for winning or whatever.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Because like, what if you were to enter a tournament,
Right.
What if you were to go like, what if you were to join a tier 3 team and, compete in OD? You just, sometimes when you're at a competitive mindset, you just play. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, but that's the pivot.
It's a good content idea maybe for you. I mean, for me, it would be I don't know, your kind of experiences like in flag football and like the coachy actually learning and
I mean, I'll make a note of it. Experiences, learning. Well, here's the funny thing. I've always been a little bit of a I really really like coaching, but there's a slight selfish edge to it because I've always been like hyper competitive, and I like really getting better at things. So I'm always learning how to coach myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I like things that I really care about. I wouldn't say Overwatch is really a big one that I care about being really really good at, but like I'm always like whenever I try to apply myself to something new, I'm always like, well, what would I coach somebody to do? Because like I like getting good at stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't know. That's kind of the way I look at it. Because it is sometimes tricky to find the parallels, but they're there. And in your example, like you were saying, maybe you're overthinking things a little bit at point times. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I think that the key thing. I had a session yesterday with somebody, and then we talked for like I swear it must have been 40 minutes, and we were talking about like how like everyone has like an RPG rollout, where like you either roll out with like super tough mental strength, mechanics because you played Call of Duty as a kid, awareness because I don't know, you played a lot of dodgeball as an elementary kid, super analytical because you were a good student, very competitive, like applying yourself really hard. Some people are very chill. Like there's type of people that I've worked with that like they don't take the game seriously enough, and so they have a hard time improving, but they never choke. So many things just come naturally to them, right? And then there's the type of people that kind of fall more into my category where we kind of like overthink everything. So we get good at everything that we apply ourselves to, but sometimes like we feels like we hit a brick wall because we just like overthink everything and we get all up in our head, And that was me even like as a kid, like playing baseball and football and stuff. It's like I was always a good player, but like I would literally like 9, 10, 11 years old, like have to fight tears when I'd strike out in baseball because I was so upset. And that's actually why I quit baseball when I was like 12 or 13, is because the stress of going up to bat was so bad. I didn't enjoy it anymore. And I think that's like kind of like that's my RPG rollout. I get good. I apply myself really hard to stuff, but sometimes I apply myself too hard, and I not only burn myself out, but I struggle to perform and improve at certain things, right?
Right.
And so that has benefits and drawbacks, and there's people that I know that just like show up, flag football, and they're like half high on whatever else, and they've like never, run a day in their lives, and they just like chilling and making cool plays, and they're just like relaxing, and it's like, it's like, gang, like, why am I not like that, But it's like, they have their own drawbacks, that they have to deal with. So I guess for me, it's always been like, find my RPG rollout, find what are my weaknesses and work at that, And because that's always a tricky thing. Sometimes it feels like it's not fair because some things just come so naturally to other people, but that's almost never the case. It's always like, what did they learn growing up? What skills did they develop growing up? And what gaps do they have that you're not paying attention to right now? Mm-hmm. I can look at a top 500 Overwatch League player and be like, you know, dang. But I don't know what that person is like behind the scenes, you know. And I can tell you right now that those guys are phenomenal in some aspects, but have massive holes in their personalities and their social skills and things like that. It's like you really don't want to be that person, you know. Anyway, that kind of tangent aside. Anything else that you wanted to go over?
No, that should be about it.
Okay. Let's take a look at code here. Which one do you want to start with?
Just to start the echo.
Okay, works for me. You want to see a cursed career profile?
That is.
It's part of my mission, you know. I gotta learn how to coach these heroes better. So a couple of them, especially with the changes. Up next, I've got like maybe Sim, the Sim changes, you know. But that's something else. Yeah. I just love rubbing it in my Patreon's face because they're always trashing me and whenever we play quick play and stuff, and I'm like, look at that, I'm a higher rank than you on off thing when I'm not even trying. Get rolled. It's always good to remind people your superiority. I've learned that. Talk about social skills, you know, T-posing on people, just even people you don't even know, just for no reason, just to dominate them is always a good idea. I have lots of friends, as I'm sure you can tell. Okay, so Echo here. I guess like a quick, we talked a little bit about it, like, you know, the poke versus dive playstyle. Is there anything that you've been specifically working on with Echo?
Yeah, so I kind of found Echo's way more on the flank side than Sojourn is. Like a lot more characters poke me out compared to Sojourn.
Yeah.
Also, I can't. It's very hard for me to play main on Echo because very hard for me to land stickies far away, and beam gets no value. Where Sojourn, you can still shoot people. But I can like flank. I can like start on the flank more. With Sojourn, I need to charge my.
Right, you're immediately effective on a flank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's mainly just the biggest thing that helped me so far is just flanking more. Enemy team swaps to like a very like Winston, Sombra Tracer, Lucio comp, so I do struggle into that a lot. But generally I do. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, looking at the comp right away, like we always talk about the poke versus, or the range versus mobility spectrum. You're going to be utilizing your range mostly versus this composition. You are going to be using your mobility as well. I think this is somewhere in between, like where you don't really want to get on top of a Tracer, but you can absolutely obliterate a Bastion or a Matra or whatever from a distance. But at the same time, if you're able to sneak up on a Bastion and sticky the guy, he's dead. Right? Like, so there's all sorts of like dynamics with it, you know. So we'll take a look. I actually really enjoy Echo. He's just been one of the heroes that I've been considering doing next, because she is really fun. But like that's the kind of thing that you can do with Echo sometimes, you know. Like you talk about like poke. I look at her a little bit like Hanzo, not in terms of like her mobility, but like her range. Because you're like, what range does she play at? It depends, but she also can just do things like this, you know. Full HP Tracer, 1, 2. Right? She hurts, right? So drive-by shooting. What's that? Oh, see ya. What on earth is that?
That was Zen Orb.
What's up?
Like when I have Zen Orb, should I don't know. It kind of like Zen does enable flanks, but it's very up to the Zen if they do that. Like, should I just kind of have the mentality like, all right, I'm assuming my Zen's gonna make the, you know, quote unquote right decision.
I don't think it matters that much, to be honest with you. No. Like, for example, like you're like talking about like, oh, Zen Orb, should I play more aggressively with it? I mean, yes. But also, you should never like be in a position to where if the Zen drops Orb, you should die one instantly anyway.
Right.
So like I'm looking at this here, and I'm like a little bit concerned because not only are you outside of Zen LOS, but you're pushing so far forward, so way ahead of your team. Yeah. It's not that this angle is bad necessarily, but like if you're gonna have Zen Orb here, honestly, just sit on main and poke, right? Sit on main and poke, and if anywhere, take the angle like here, where you can keep support pocket, and then do something later. Like you're just pushing too far forward. You're like being cursed with mobility right now because you're not used to having this as Sojourn as much, right? So now all of a sudden, I mean, you just feed. Like there isn't any way to sugarcoat it. You just push way in front of your team to die.
Yeah.
So now you've got options here, right? You know, you can short sightline flank here outside of Widow LOS. You can literally just go dive Widow. You can sit on main and spam as well. For example, like right now, there's nothing else to do, so you might as well. Because you could still hurt people from there. I mean, case in point, right? And basically, do you see what you're doing here? You're setting what I would call a trap, where you shift your angle backwards because the enemy team is pushing forwards. And so there's a real chance that this 5v4 turns into a 4v4. You kind of see what I'm saying? This is good. Because if they overextend, you know, that gets really uncomfortable for them. And that's good. That's a good way to prevent staggering. That's a good way to maybe cause them to lose an advantage and so on. Oh, this Bastion's... See, I would be a lot more willing to engage in this guy once he uses grenade. I can tell you, as somebody who's played a little Bastion, if you dive bomb this now off of a reasonable good timing, once I don't have nade, I'm cooked. Even with turret form. You shift in here, shoot, sticky beam, he's dead. It's over. No coming back, to be honest with you. I think, honestly, even with the armor heal, I think he loses that without grenade. And again, the question is like, if you are going to take this angle, could you time this a little bit better? Probably, right? Do you see how you're always like one step ahead of your team in terms of your actions?
Yeah.
You know, and it's something that you're aware of. Like, you know why this is bad. I don't have to tell you why this is bad, but it's just probably something that you don't have practice from playing Sojourn as much.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not so much of the diving, it's just the setting up.
Right. The staging is hard because you're like, well, it's going to take me a while to set up, right? I mean, yes, but it's okay to be late here. Like, if you were starting to rotate now, you like you got here 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now that's very late. Do you see how late that is? But that's okay. Like, you want to be late on that deep of a flank, and your team's not going to die instantly before that happens. The irony is that if you go too early, you get scouted, get marked, and you end up being very late anyway.
Right.
You kind of see what I'm saying? Because this Lucio has nothing else to worry about besides just making you miserable, and he's doing that very well. So you're ridiculously late anyway, right?
Yeah.
And I bet you feel like, oh man, everyone's looking at me, right? Well, really, it's just the Lucio. And then the only reason that they're looking at you now is because, well, at least half of your team is kind of out of this fight. Now, the Jugger Queen is in, but like your team has kind of been stuck in this choke, and so they're just like, oh, we'll look at the Echo. Yeah, and that's it, right? You've got 2 people on you because your team has kind of been seesawing in and out of the choke. Now, the big takeaway is just going to be check your team's positioning in stage. Check your team's positioning in stage. Check your team's positioning in stage. One of these days you'll get a clip right there. Trust. Nice. See? Ha! No. Nice. The goat. Hold on. Do you know how to use copy with Echo confidently?
I'm pretty confident with it.
Okay. What's your strategy with it?
I mean, it really depends on the situation. But,
sure does.
Well, I don't love... I look at, like, I like turning into Bastion, I like turning into Ana, and I'm okay turning into Ramattra. So, like, if I have a great high ground... Like, let's say the fight is going on kind of Ricardo's, then I can, like, go in the high ground and turn into, you know, Ana or Bastion, hit a big nade. Probably Bastion I like a lot more, but... I'll go over to them. If the fight's like in a tiny choke, I'll probably turn into like Ramattra or something like that. Or sometimes I'll just like go in really aggressively and just like use it to secure a kill. And it doesn't totally matter who I turn into.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about like finding that balance between I either know ahead of time who I'm copying and I set up for it, or I don't know who I'm copying, I go in hyper aggressive, use it as a get out of jail free card. That's pretty much it. This comp, I think Bastion's fine. I think Ana's fine. I think Ram is actually pretty darn good. Just because a lot of his survivability doesn't come from his raw HP, so it's actually pretty easy to get rambled if you play it well, as opposed to other tanks. But like I look at this and I'm like, I would either set up for a Ram by just sitting on choke, maybe set up for an Ana copy here, but maybe the Widow complicates that. But yeah, like set up for a good copy or use it as a good LG free card, like you were saying. That's fine. I think it was okay. Just have a little bit more respect when you don't have your shift. It's such a, it's not like Sojourn shift, but remember the difference between this and Sojourn shift is this is a lot more in high demand a lot of the time, I guess, for Echo than it would be for Sojourn. So like you right now, like imagine you being here as Sojourn, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you never would be, right? Now, Flight is a little bit more dynamic. It's a little bit more powerful in terms of how it can be used, but it's not infinitely more powerful. So you're thinking like, oh, I'm fine here. No, you're not fine. You're dead. If they, especially with the infosites, like you have to respect this cooldown more and give up a little bit more space just so that you can survive. This is just a little bit of a lack of respect of not having your shift yet.
Thought I heard the Widow.
Yeah. Well, that was a jump scare. It's nice and quiet, all quiet in the Western Front then. Holy crap! I didn't even hear the ult at first because I skipped past this initial thing. Trigger discipline. Remember. Right? Just chill. Chill. You are at a massive advantage here. Don't panic. Just relax. You know, no maximum fire right here. Nice, Sean. Ah! Small detail here. What's the problem?
I'm a little ahead of my team.
Right? I'm telling you, it's like this is I noticed this playing Echo myself a lot, where like she feels like so pokey. You're like, oh, I can, but you underestimate how quickly, like how fast you are mobility wise, and so you just like you cheat so much, but you're like, oh wow, like I really need to pay attention to my team. Now, let's think positioning here. Let's say your queen walks forward here. Where should you play?
If I go left, feels a little risky, but
what feels bad about your positioning right now? Let's start with that. Address that issue.
I can't hit backline at all.
Right, you can't hit backline at all, and also what just happened here again, or what happened previous when you messed up your timing. Right, on it, and they're about to make it even worse as well, right?
Right.
So then, what leverage? What should you be leveraging? What's his strength? I hate to be binary with this, but range, mobility. You're using your range now. Yeah. What should you be using instead?
I should be going left side for flank.
Right. Use your mobility. Hold your shift here. LOS the Ana by spamming tank here. LOS the Ana by playing here. Hold your shift. Shift out if you need to. Basically, you're just basically playing as like it's the same thing as Sojourn, right? When we talk about like you take an aggressive angle, you bait them to use your dive so you can shift out. It's the exact same thing with Echo. Exact same thing with Echo. Don't try to leverage your poke here where you're just going to get poked out, right? Take an angle, even if it's a conservative angle like here, where it's like really hard for them to get an angle on you. Shoot the ram, copy the ram, and so on. You kind of see what I'm saying? Leverage string. And you're going to do that here, but like this should have been your initial instinct immediately, right? And by the way, you don't even need to dive bomb this. Like, you see how you're like kind of shifting up for height? You don't need this. Yeah. Because now what's the problem here? What I promise you that you're going to use copy in the next 5 seconds.
Yeah. I can't get out.
Right, you can't get out. So you took an aggressive angle, use your mobility cooldown on that aggressive angle, so now you're going to get your copy forced. The problem with that, though, is we already talked about the get out of jail free card, right? But what value are you getting out of this shift?
Nothing really.
Right, so then why use it? If you were going to shift aggressively and get your copy forced, where would you go? What would you do? There's a couple of options.
I would probably just, okay, if I'm using shift in.
Yeah.
I would probably just go and try and go in the Ash, turn into Ramatra, and
Sure. Just dive bomb the Ash. Crazy feed insanity. You would need to wait for your Zen to come forward first, obviously, timing-wise again. But yeah, that would work. Here's another one. How about this? Check this out. Shift up to here, copy Ana.
right.
You know?
Yeah.
Now you're a serious problem for them. Serious problem for them. Here's another one. Fly through here, shift up to the roof, slide here, dive bomb here, and do something like that, right? Like, if you're gonna shift in aggressively and then use your copy, at least get something out of it. There it is, right? And you're dead. Which, to be fair, is more to do with your timing than it is to do with the angle that you chose, right? Again. And so I feel like, ha! Great. That was something else. All right, you're tanking is what you're doing. You're tanking. Now your team might still. Okay, no, your team won't win this fight. Well, maybe because you created a lot of space, right? But generally, you don't want to be doing that. You want to be following up off of your queen's space because you want to be the one getting all the kills, right? Not and let your queen die. She's built for that. Uh-oh. Somebody got baited. Oh, poor guy. High risk, high reward, right? I mean, this makes sense, right? You're holding your shift, you're closing the distance on double hit scan, but you know,
Yeah, really.
it's killing you, man. Like you really right now could just sit here and poke. Like Ash can't two tap you. So, and your poke is like halfway decent, so you might as well just like sit here and, you know, farm some ult, you know? Put some pressure out, keep the Diva Matrix going. But whatever is going to happen here, like, you're lucky you're on a landed nade, right? Like, that was the stars aligned. But obviously, hindsight, you can kind of see.
Yeah.
The Torb's making the same mistake. It's kind of funny. Because he goes in after you, but your queen's still not there, still not pushing. So look at his turret. Look at this. And he's turret broken, right? Like instantly, right? It's just like, it's such a basic concept. You got to make sure that you work for it. It's a basic concept, but you have to like build that memory of like take an angle, check your team. Take an angle, check your team.
Yeah, Sojourn, you're like forced to be late because you need to build your rail. So
Right. Well, with Sojourn, it's like you take the angle early, you get pocket, they shift you shift out, right? But like here, it's or you take shoot, shift late, right? It's all right. It's all right. Maybe you could be a little later, like let your queen bleed a little bit, but it's all right, you know. At the very least, it feels like the attention that you're getting. I honestly don't even know that I would shift here. Why? You know, I think okay. Maybe you need to worry about nade. That's the only thing I'd say. But see, maybe like greed just a little bit. But I will say, look at at least look at what's happening now, though. Watch. You see that? Like she's getting chunked, and that's you, right? That's you. So at the very least, probably the best angle timing that we've seen so far. Probably the best, I think. Decent. I would go back. Like I honestly would. I would not get bullied out. Like I would be like, oh, I'm out. Okay, I'm back to my team. I'm safe. Okay, shoot. And then I'd start to be like, oh, yo, are they following? And then you can either take the angle if they're not there again, now that you have your shift again, right? Or go to the other angle if you want to. But this angle kind of sucks right now. I mean, you could maybe sticky down it, but there's nothing really here. Or fight them for this angle, right? Now I'm actually concerned that their Ash Echo will kill your team. Right? It's not the Ash Echo necessarily, but your positioning sucked, right?
Yeah.
You get too much in the grill. I'm shocked they didn't actually wrap around. Oh, they did. They did. Where did the Ash go? Hello? Oh, okay. She did get it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, makes sense.
Yep.
Alrighty. Do you have any questions with cooldowns, micro, beam, ult, anything that we haven't gone over yet? We've been mostly talking about the basic, boring stuff, but is there anything else that you have any questions about?
No, that's no.
Okay. I think you had a pretty good idea with how to use your ult, which would have been the main one I wanted to make sure you knew. She's quite overextended. See, she's gonna make this. She's making the same mistake you're making, or you made, right? Where she wants to use that copy, but the problem is that she's forcing her. She's not getting value out of her aggression, then copying later. You know what I'm saying? She's just feeding, and then either she dies or she gets her copy forced in a really bad spot where you guys could just focus her down. You see that? Like, look at her team and look at her. It's easy, easy, easy clear or kill. Yep. 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 Love to see it. You're fine. Yep. 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 So corny. Yeah. Good copy. Nice job. I mean, it feels like unsatisfying, but you can kind of see it, like the value that you got there, right? Like the time that you wasted. You basically stole Nano Diva. Honestly, the only micro I would say here is that, like, I wonder if you could have greeted like one more shot into the Diva, maybe. And then I'm not gonna sit here and coach your Diva micro. I mean, you should have Matrixed a lot earlier. So like right here, Matrix immediately out and micro missiles, force her Matrix, and then see if you can burn her from there. But I'm not gonna sit here and coach your Diva micro. You could probably go back and look at those and catch some mechanical details when it comes to copying various heroes. But I think that was a good copy. Took an angle, had a good time, forced attention from it, used copy when you needed to, countered an ultimate with an ultimate, and opened your team a huge, huge, huge amount of space. This is always tricky, so you tell me what you should do here. What should you do here?
I think I probably could have gone right.
Yeah. Go right. Yeah. Yeah, late peak can even like shift in this direction if you see the Diva far away, right? Maybe even shift. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because this just feels awful, right? Oh, what? Oh! Yeah, your team just basically funneled through a choke. They fumbled the back earlier. Okay, so big things for you have been timing, awareness of your tank before you position, basically playing to your strength so that you can actually like leverage either your range or your mobility, right? Just a little bit of the positioning in that aspect. Yeah, any questions so far?
Not so far.
Okay.
But, this is where I really struggled.
All right, I'm looking forward to this. Give me actually 1 second. Just, okay, let's take a look here. So again, pretty clearly, what's your advantage versus this composition? Range, right? Range. Now that's obviously easier said than done when it comes to applying this. Lucio, how are you supposed to poke a Lucio? Ana, how are you supposed to poke an Ana? Sombra, how are you supposed to poke a Sombra? So you're not going to see her half the time, right? So this is where you have to kind of leverage, pick and choose your battles. You know what I'm saying? So Tracer, poke her out if you can. Winston, obviously, poke him out. That's where you're going to be spending the vast majority of your time. And then trying to utilize your mobility as a get out of jail free card whenever you get threatened. Now, playing versus Sombra can be very rewarding and very punishing depending on your skill. Right. You could get hacked and you could get one shot. You can get hacked, but you're already in the air because you shifted immediately and you just completely waste their entire dive. And it's brutal. This is something we saw in Overwatch League a lot this past several weeks, where teams are like toying with Echo and being able to fly out of Sombra hack as she's hacking, and like the Winston dives, Tracer dives, and you're just in the air is like, it's crippling for them to have all that attention wasted, if that makes sense. But you have to react quickly.
I think I can see where my issue is.
Yeah, yeah. But well, the thing is, you have to react quickly because you have to know it's coming.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You have to know it's coming. You have to expect it's coming, and while you're doing that, be able to heavily poke Tracer and Winston. Like I said, on a Lucio Sombra, that's not really you can't reasonably poke those heroes. But Winston, like Winston is like has a really hard time versus you. You see, even this is good. It's smart. Right? Look at that. It's so annoying for her, right?
Right.
I would be very... Now, while you're doing this, what should you be expecting, right? Hack.
Yeah.
I would even blow my stickies right here. I would not hesitate. Now you're thinking like, oh, well, won't they just heal it up? I mean, yeah, but start hitting... Like, the way I look at Echo versus comp, as long as you're not, like, actively, like, feeding with your timing, start the pressure. Keep them going. Force bubble, force nade, force amp, everything. Get it out right now, you know? See, the problem here is that you've used your shift because they start to rotate towards you. Seems reasonable, but you didn't really do a lot with that shift, right? Hit him in the mouth, shift out. You got me?
Yeah.
Because now you don't have shift, you gotta play scared. Nice. That's good though. But this is not good, right? Where should you go?
Probably a little more up more to my healers.
Just distraction a little bit. Oh, dopamine. Yes. Oh, thank you. So good. So much fun. So first things first. Careful here, right? Remember your shift's cooldown, right? I actually forgot that is something that we talked about. It's kind of respecting that cooldown a little bit. Obviously, like, oh crap, she hacked me. Shocker, right? It's okay, you're being healed, but just respect it a little bit more here.
Yeah.
This is way too deep. This is just hubris, right? When you turn that corner, remember damage boost, Ana damage, Tracer damage, Lucio honestly could be shooting here. This is just hubris. We want you hitting early and often, but don't break like cover. You kind of see what I'm saying? And then now that puts you on the back foot because you can't really take a position to shoot. Get the stickies out ASAP on that Winston if you can. I appreciate you focusing the Tracer, but remember it's about like return on investment. Shooting Tracer, good return on investment. Full sticking a Winston, even at this range, also, if not better. It just the funny thing is you just blow stickies and shoot him, and then you could resume shooting Tracer. Get him out, like get him out. He's such a fat target, you know. It's just so easy. And then this is obviously a disaster because you know now he has bubble, so then this is not as valuable. I am not of the opinion that you should be sticking bubble. That is not what you should be doing. The bubble breaks very quickly without the stickies, and the stickies are the burst damage. They're going to provide more return on investment actually hitting the target, if that makes sense. That case in point, right? Beam, perfect. Unfortunately, he doesn't die, but it's the right play. I mean, that was all fine, right? Fly at Tracer, she's no recall, she's low. Perfect. Stickies. You sticky, you shoot, he jumps, you fly, right? That's what you want. It's just like Sojourn. A little bit of ego, a little bit of ego, a little bit of ego. That is what we want to see right there. Walk forward. Like, it's a really careful dance between paying attention to timing, pay attention to cover, and then not doing this, right? I actually, the thing is that it's not even you going for the Sombra here that's bad. What's the mistake here?
Too early, I would say.
To an extent, also.
And I don't shift the hack.
Right, you don't shift the hack. Now, you either need to be very confident that you're going to break this hack immediately, or you need to shift the hack.
Yeah.
Shift cancel.
I was expecting the Sombra to be on the other side, so I was looking over there.
Yeah.
I should have just like hugged the wall Sombra's on now. That way I would have known.
It's just in general, I feel like a lot of your mistakes are just you need more reps in this hero, right? Beam it. Honestly, I think you're probably okay. Probably okay. Just whip out the beam here, you know? I think you get her. But whatever. Ha! Nice. That pedal actually was crazy. Oh my gosh. This is crazy, man. This is like, it's like clown stuff going on right here. To be honest with you, a lot of this is just, you're just feeding. You're just screwing up. That last engagement right there, I wouldn't worry too much about. When I would like, whenever you feed, I think it's always a good idea to like focus on the feeding that you think that you can like actually put into black and white. Like, how would you describe that last fight? You know, I don't know. You just crap the bed in every possible way. However, we could say that you're too slow to react to hack. Like, you don't anticipate hack. Your stickies on the Winston/Winston bubble aren't as good. Those are like some actionable things, you know, you can worry about. That one is just like, whatever, go next. I respect this, right? You use your shift, even without Sombra, you can't just shift and then just cancel the sin on the floor versus this comp, right? Shoot, 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 shoot. Walk, 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 walk. This is again where like you have your shift here, get all up in this guy's grill just a little bit, sticky fly out beam, right? You only have to worry about nade, really, in these circumstances. But they've already used it, and I don't think Ana's, to be honest, are gonna be able to consistently hit you with it enough. Like it's like this stuff is like, why on earth did that take so long? And look at the son of a gun, you know? You could even shift now and drive by shoot beam, sticky beam, and then kind of like hover in the air, right? Hover, like I would say probably aim this direction to cut off the on sight line, right? Okay. I would still be looking at her, to be honest with you. If you knew the Sombra was there, look at her. You know what it is? Here's what it is. I was wondering this with like the Tracer. Why does it feel so good to like poke a Tracer, poke a Sombra sometimes, even though they're quote unquote short range heroes? Why do you think this is? Who has the advantage here? You or the Sombra?
I do, because I have a lot of healing support.
I would say even if you ignore the healing, you still have the advantage here.
Like if they don't have the same health as me. Like Sombra needs to TP away before she's 0.
Here's a way of looking at it. Here's a way of looking at it. All right, Sombra, Tracer rely more on the element of surprise than you do.
Right.
So even if you're like a Hanzo here, I think you have the advantage here too. Even though you're closer to I wouldn't say Sombra's a short range hero, I'd say she's more like medium range, but like, you know she's here, so you have the advantage, right? Mm-hmm. I think that applied to the Tracer earlier as well, right? If you know where the Tracer is, you have the advantage. Kind of keep that in mind. That might be helpful for living these kind of dives, right? Where like, okay, I know where they are, I can ego them a little bit, but it's when things like this happen where I'm like, I wasn't quite sure where she was, that's when I have to be a little bit more respectful, you know? Nice. Nice. Is that a broken translocator? It is. Nice. Ego, 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 ego. Doing a good job paying attention to your support's positioning here. Find that Winston. See, I wouldn't even bother shooting the Lucio, right? Because it's always about like what's here instead, right? If it's just Lucio, sure, but look at what's happening at the same time. You know? Get it going, right? Yeah. Light this guy up. Force that bubble before the jump, right? Force the bubble before the jump. And you be the guy that he jumps, not your backline. You know? You really didn't even need the shift here, right? You're fine. What's it gonna do? Jump you? You know? Like,
Yeah.
what's it gonna do? The only thing you have to worry about is hack or nade here. And you should be able to react to both, right? If you get hacked, shift up. If she throws nade, shift up. You're fine. Because the problem is that you aren't the target that's being dove, so you're cheating your mobility here. And the other problem is because you shift up early, you lose out on damage and punish on the enemy dive. Does that make sense?
Right.
So really treat it like a good, honest, you know, hard-working defensive mobility cooldown, right? It is a bait. It is a get-out-of-jail-free card. Use it as such. That's Vice lost. Okay. Trigger discipline, because it won't be a Spilo review without trigger discipline. Not full speed. You see that? Relax. 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 Right? Relax. Again, you know where she is. You have the advantage. I think she's going to die here, actually. Oh. Oh, I thought you were going to catch her. Nice. This hero is freaking fun, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's so much fun. I really enjoy Echo a lot. No shift, so care. You have shift, so there you go. Don't cancel hack. That's a little bit spooky, right? You got to be respectful of that. That was scary. They can still see you through walls. Still see you through walls. Let's walk forward. Now you have shift again. I think you can ego this a little bit more, right? Especially now that you have copy. Like, if you, and this is, to be honest with you, I think we can get into ult tracking and stuff like this, but let's put it this way. First off, you're positioned out in the open. You should be at least a little bit tighter to cover here, right? Like somewhere along this wall here, okay? Second off, you should be able to react EMP. You should know that it's coming. You should be able to reactively copy Winston or Ana or whatever, right? That's possible. That's something to aspire to. You're dead here, but it's not necessarily because, oh, you should. Oh, okay. Never mind. Nice copy, by the way.
Winston there, but...
Nice copy. No, I mean accidental, but nice copy. Nice nade. Nice target priority here. Reasonable. Maybe. Good. The key thing with Echo, like it is with any DPS hero, it's about having like a little bit of an ego. A little bit of, I wouldn't say ego, it's like bloodlust, I think is what it is.
Right.
But doing so calculated. You know what I'm saying? You want to be like an assassin. Like I am going to kill you in this 1v1. But I'm only going to take it, like I'm going to do it as smart as I possibly can. You want that level of aggression, right? Just do it as smart as you possibly can. Nice. This is fine. Good. Get her out. No shift. No shift, so careful. But that kind of, like, this kind of shift usage will haunt you to your grave, right? This kind of stuff right here. Right there. Bump. Didn't really take you anywhere. Now you're vulnerable. You don't have a more aggressive angle. In fact, you don't have any angle at all, really. That's the kind of stuff you have to avoid. You have to cut that one out. Poke, 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 poke. Trigger discipline. Oh, C9. Tragic. Okay. So, do you want to look briefly at your Sojourn? I've got a few minutes if you'd like to.
Yeah, yes, please. It's not the longest.
Okay. Let's write some quick things for your Echo, though.
All right.
Habits to practice.
I think biggest thing would be just timing. Being okay with being a little bit late.
Check
especially when I'm setting up.
Team's positioning when setting up on deeper angles. Okay.
So just getting earlier pressure out. Yeah, getting early pressure with like stickies and stuff like that.
But balance that with keeping earlier pressure versus comps you can poke, finding sticky targets, etc. Right, exactly. Okay.
And then that just saved like little things would be like trigger discipline and canceling hack.
Discipline.
Not canceling, but flying like Mac.
Plus more micro with playing versus tracer, sombra, etc. I think just a little bit more reps in like in the matchup. But yeah, I don't know. Makes sense. Okay, let's take a quick look at your Sojourn here.
And with Echo, would you recommend I do Deathmatch instead of Vaxta?
Yep. 100%. Yeah, she's definitely one of those like duelist heroes, as you could probably see from that code, right?
Yeah.
A lot about knowing how to play versus your matchups, and a lot of very vertical aim, a lot of movement around the map, that kind of thing. I think maybe this angle's a little too deep for your supports. So yeah. What I was thinking like, well, you tell me where you think.
I was thinking if I just don't know where they like what comp they're on, I would probably say. I mean, this map's kind of. I'd probably say like above where my Genji is.
Mm-hmm. I would think honestly, even just stacking here and just stuffing this angle super hyper aggressively. Because remember when we talk about like you taking a more aggressive angle and then shifting out, that can also be used if you just simply frontline, right? I'm not saying that you should frontline here, but like you could just walk forward here. If you're Cassidy here and you get like walled or slammed, you're kind of in danger, but you got your shift here. So I might take a soft off angle, just double king up with my supports in this situation.
I think it's alright because they don't have like any like range damage.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I wouldn't say they don't have any range damage. It's more. It's just more niche, you know. Because if the Ana Torb May could be a problem theoretically, you are putting out some nice pressure here. I will say. Nice. There you go. Drop that E. Nice. Poor Torb. Now Lucius just spilled a beat from sitting inside of his own team. Whoa! Nice. Remember with your shift, you don't have to jump at the end. I know it sounds corny to say that, but like here, you could just call it here, you know? Yeah. Don't go boing and then like, hey y'all, what's up? Oh no! You know, so that's alright. He's good. Nice shot. No, that's actually disastrous. Yeah, I think this has been pretty reasonable. I think the only thing is like maybe it wasn't necessary to flank quite so hard with your support lineup. Maybe you could have played a tighter angle, still leveraging your shift. But besides that, it's whatever. Good ult. Love the ego here. That's smart. Yeah, so this is pretty reasonable. I mean, besides that, just, you know, hit more rail forehead, headshots forehead, but looks okay to me. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about, like where you're like really kind of pushing forward. You don't like have an off angle because, you know, where's an off angle right now? Like that? What is going on? You know, just take an aggressive position. I have shift. I can use it. Case in point, right? Beta sleep dart. Point unlocked. Little unfortunate, but the right idea, right? I don't know. That rail needs to hit. Only thing I could think maybe is, and this might be kind of surprising to you, but is your Moira dead? No, your Moira's not dead. I might consider holding here a little longer. Like make that Lucio really get onto you and then shift, and then I think obviously just knowing where you're shifting to would have been the key thing there, right? Because you get split from your Moira and that ends up killing you. That's the only thing that takeaway I can have. Don't shift away just because you failed the shot. Shift away because you actually feel like you're under threat. Maybe the Lucio is kind of an issue, but yeah, just something to consider. So I'm kind of zooming through this. If you have any questions, just holler. Nice. Here, this is another situation where like, okay, I know your ball's in spawn, but you can ego just a little bit here. You can ego just a little bit. Yeah, that's it. Nice. Maybe winnable. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Did you get booped by the ball as you shot? Yeah. I want to see this. That's so unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm really seeing so far is just gotta keep working on hitting the shot so far. I think your E usage has been okay. I think your positioning has been okay. The way you're using your shift has been, for the most part, pretty decent as well. Ults have been all right. Just like, you know, hit your shot, win the 1v1 forehead, right? Which is good. I think like, obviously in the chaotic aspect of this, this kind of like game mode, being able to do this kind of thing well is really important, and I think you're doing fine. Let's do one more fight. Well, we'll just finish up this flashpoint. That work for you?
Yeah, I think that's one more fight as well.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. Yes, love to see it. Only thing, the irony here, not the irony, the only thing I would say here is maybe just be a little bit faster with your E, you know?
Yeah.
And then obviously that needs to hit. Both those shots need to hit, and you're dead. I honestly think like the risk was worth the reward there, you know? You hit a really nice shot. You hit a couple of good nice shots. I think your team should be able to clean this up. It's a little unfortunate that your Lucio ends up dying with you. I think it was okay. I think it was okay. Just the combo off the rail off the E. No, screw it. Let's just keep going. I told the guy that we'd be running a little bit over, so let's just roll it in. Okay. Okay, E is good. Good target priority. Nice. Oh, nice. Good. Your E usage is good. As is your shifts. I think the only thing that I would say maybe, just because they're running a harder dive comp and you are priority number 1, is have an idea of where you're going to shift to before you shift. You kind of see what I'm saying? Because it's happened 3 or 4 times where you've shifted the wrong direction away from your Moira. And because you are going to be dive target number 1, I would definitely try to have an idea of who you're going for before you go, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not as important right now because you're probably not going to be dove with the queen as much, but definitely would have cut out a couple of avoidable deaths just knowing where you were going before you went. This fight, to be honest with you, unwinnable. EMP, Torbolt, beat, Nano. I mean, what are you going to do? Nice. Nice job. Nice, nice, nice. Does that make sense with the whole, like, prep thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that you're playing aggressively and getting your shift force. We talked about that, obviously, many, many times. I just am not always super happy with... You're kind of just, like, reactively shifting blindly. I think that's the only thing I'd say. Oh, that sucks. You guys just lose this. Okay. Oh, it sucks.
Oh, whoa, she's here. Ooh. Holy. No way. I wouldn't be scared to use my ult here, to be honest with you. If you felt the need to use it there, I wouldn't be against it. You know, last fight kind of a scenario. I think it ends up working out just fine because the only person that had ult was the queen who died. But don't hesitate in that situation if you feel the need. Okay, that being said, hindsight 2020. So that was the right move because obviously it worked, right? And we're gonna have an ultimate for. What? What?
Oh, this is actually me losing with the journey.
Oh my days.
I'm ready to overcome. This ends now.
Nice. Perfect timing with the ult as well. Point unlocks, they're starting to push. Nice.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Yeah, looks good. Let's keep going. Same thing here. Now they're back on Winston. Where's your escape route, right? You were Cassie prior number 1. Because you gotta see it there a little bit. I don't think you shifted badly, but like your Moira was over here. You shifted over here. Not the end of the world because he'd already used jumped and bubble, so he wasn't gonna pursue. Just something to kind of keep in mind. And then now, it's very important you know where your Moira is, right? She's right behind you. Okay, where do you shift? Fine. Get him. Nice.
Outfought.
Nice.
Hello.
Let's go. Pop off. Hanzo definitely makes things a little awkward. Uh-oh. That's a I don't know where my supports are thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that position made a whole lot of sense versus the Hanzo. I would prefer you in that circumstance to position where? Just given your team's position, given the enemy team's position, where should you be?
Just either higher with them or like.
Yeah.
Moira is.
Yeah, just stack here, honestly. Like, you could even walk up in this guy's grill, right? And just basically be like, all right, come on, dive me, I'm going to shift out, right? Take an aggressive position. If an off angle, like, flanky doesn't really present itself, that's fine. Because this just feels ugly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Nice, mate. Nice, nice. So I think for you, with Sojourn... overall solid. Mechanics on rail. Keep practicing. Duh.
Would you recommend unrated deathmatch or Vaxta?
Unrated deathmatch. Unrated deathmatch. Unless you find yourself 20 and owing the lobby because it's just a bunch of diamonds.
Right.
If you start dominating the lobby and it's like you don't feel like you're getting good practice, then yeah. Because you're a pretty high rank, so you might have to kind of pick and choose. And then just having your escape route planned versus harder dives. Knowing where to shift. Okay. Any questions?
No.
All right.
Well, I'll be seeing you in Toronto.